the screaming tree is a character. It is in fact two characters, and there's a bit of an origin story behind that because it is based off of a real tree. But
Mm.
it divides this fictional this small town in Tennessee. It divides it perfectly east to west. And the first thing everybody notices about it is that it just looks dead. Nothing ever grows on it. No birds will ever nest in it, and yet it's always growing. But its most notable feature is that it has two knotholes on either side, which resemble faces, and they are each looking out over each side of town, which they have claimed as their own, because these two spirits that have been trapped within this tree for who knows how long do not like each other.
Okay.
And that is where screaming comes from when their feud reaches a fever pitch. The screams can be heard throughout the town. And they're very fickle. They have special demands of how each side of town has to, to look, what they have to do to keep the peace, which the people of this town have figured out and compiled into a series of rules. And so that is the dilemma that the new girl in town. She is a fairly young girl named Bia, who is moving in with her family into what looks to her like a dream home. It's bigger than anything her family's ever lived in. It certainly sold for a lot cheaper than it looks like it should have. So, but then they are handed a list of, here are the rules for your side of town. Follow them, and the tree will not hurt you. Things do not go according to plan, because one day she wakes up and there is a kind of a youngish young man. He's basically hanging out in her mirror on her wall.
Oh, wow.
And he says, "I'm from the other side of town. I can't get out. I can't leave right now. I need you to protect me from my enemy who controls this side of town." So that is how she ends up in this whole mess, is protecting the spirit from the other side of town. And she goes a bit teen detective and decides, well, I'm going to figure out why. And that's where the story really kicks in.
So the first question I have is, when the family buys the home or moves into the home, were they not told, or was it just, or did they think it was a joke?
They they were told, but that is the nature of the rules, is they seem rather benign when you
Yeah.
look at them. It's like, okay, these are the rules on what you can paint the house, on what you
Oh,
can
okay.
have outside. And there's reasons that they moved pretty quickly and thought, well, in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty small
Yeah.
inconvenience. But once they get there, things start to get a little bit more complicated.
Um, I will say this, and Ryan will probably understand this, but like, I feel like these screaming trees just sounds like your typical Australian local council, you know? Like, 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 we will mess you up if you don't do these rules, you know? Because ours are pretty full on.
The first question that Bia asks her dad when she sees the rules is, "Are we part of a homeowners association?"
Nice. Yeah. No, it's a really, really cool concept.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Like, how did you build this myth or this story, however you want to see it?
Yeah, the tipping point, what really set this off, was my friend was getting married, and I was a bridesmaid in her wedding. So, like every bridesmaid who realizes, oh, I need to lose some weight.
Mm.
So, so suddenly I need to think about getting in shape. And so I started jogging quite regularly, and I developed a route around my neighborhood. And at the time I had been working on a different story, which I have never, I think I have shown it to one person, and it was getting very ambitious. It had all of these universes that were starting to collide. And I thought, okay, this is not ready. I need to set it aside. It had been my life for about 2 years. And I said, okay, I need something else. But I need to keep writing. I need something new. I challenged myself on one of these particular runs, said, I'm going to look at something around this route and see if I can create a completely different story out of it. And about 2/3 of the way through the route, I was focusing, in fact, on a tree that as I got closer, I said, "Oh, it has this enormous knot hole on the side, and it looks like a
Like,
screaming mouth, and a very unhappy screaming mouth at that." I thought, "Oh, that looks suitably disturbing." And then I came around the other side and saw the second knot hole again on the opposite side. And when you start to see that, your brain fills it in. I can't remember the scientific term for what they call it when you start seeing people or animals in shapes. It really did start to look like, a single, like two people trying to pull free from this tree, reaching from, either side. And so I ended my run. I would always end it at this coffee shop that's downtown. And I, grabbed my laptop and I sat it down on the counter where I would work. And I just started writing a backstory for what these two people, who they were, and the idea of them controlling a small town through these very capricious rules came about very quickly. The character of Bia, because that's the next step is, okay, now I have a premise and now I have to figure out the hero. And your hero is basically the person who looks at what everybody else just says, well, that's the way it is. Yeah. Your hero is usually the one who says, but is it though? Does it have to be that way? And that became Bia. In fact, a lot of that character work that I wrote that day turned into, I think, chapter 1 or chapter 2 of the book, explaining who she was and how she ended up here.
That's amazing. So is the tree still there? Is it still around, or did it creep enough people out?
It is. But it's at the center of land that my city is turning into a garden, a big old community garden space. And so I was a little nervous when I woke up one day and they had put little pink ribbons around half of the trees.
Yeah.
And I saw a pink ribbon on mine. I went, oh no, what does that mean? And fortunately, I do freelance work for our local newspaper, and I go to the city council meetings. So I knew who to email, and I said,
"Do not.
You're used to me asking questions. You're used to me asking questions for the newspaper related to what they're voting on. I am asking a completely personal question: is this tree going to make it?" And he said, "As far as I know, it is. So it is still up, and as far as I know, it will stay put."
That's right, because I'm saying when this book, takes off and gets turned into a film, you'll have a little plaques underneath the tree. This is a tree.
It would have turned me into a literal tree hugger. Holding on to it. Not this tree. Not this tree.
And they're like, no, it's not because I care about the environment. It's because I care about my story.
I care about my money. No.
How do you think I made this book? I cut down trees, not this tree. Oh, that's great.
I think the trope in going back to the story, I think the trope of a family buying a beautiful big house for way under what it's worth is one of my few favorite tropes in a horror movie or TV show. Always know, the dad will say, the kid will be like, I don't want to move out into this small town, and the dad will be like, well, we got a really good deal on this big house, and you have your own bedroom, and it's never ends well, and it is one of my all-time favorite tropes of horror. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading that, because whenever that happens, it never ends well.
No,